Liam, first off, we'll put Tuesday to bed. You've had just over a day, really, I guess, to look back at things. What's your assessment now?
Assessment is when you're emotional, and I care, I know the players care, I know the fans care, I know you care, Loxie. It's difficult to analyse, so I actually analysed the game last night, and what I saw was a team that dominate for 12 minutes, a team that look in complete control of the game, had a really, really good chance, and then we give away a cheap penalty, and it gives them energy and it gives them oxygen to go and hold on to something, and that's what they did. When I watched the game back, all credit to Lincoln, they set up defensively, they kicked us back the ball, and they waited for a mistake. And then second half, what we didn't do, when I watched the game back, we didn't take risks enough in possession, and that's something that we'll address. Well, we addressed it today in the meeting, and we'll address it tomorrow when we walk through how we go about Wycombe. But I've looked at the statistics, I've looked at the times we've entered the opposition's final third, I've looked at crosses, I've looked at expected goals. In terms of our overall sample of play, we are doing okay. And I'm staying calm, and I'm really calm. I've got a lot of confidence in this group that things will come together and we'll be exactly where we want to be.
Which I suppose the answer to the question is, the obvious answer is putting the ball in the back of the net, and we've spoken about that before. So in terms of other things that you've learned from that game, you spoke about Lincoln being a learning curve for the players, especially the younger ones. What do you think the biggest learning curve was? I
think for our younger players, it's the fact, and the senior ones, there's a lot of senior players who I brought to the club have actually played in League One before. We have to understand, as a football club and as myself as manager and the players, that teams are doing so much homework, so much work on us. We are a huge scalp for every single team in this division, and Lincoln, all credit to them, Plymouth, all credit to them. You could see what it meant to them, and we have to match that intensity. I saw Mark Kennedy's interview after the game. His players broke records in terms of distance covered, the highest they've run. But teams know they have to do that to stop us playing. So what we have to do is we have to adapt our game. And teams now are watching us play. We have to adapt our game. But the bare minimum, regardless of tactics, I don't want to be outrun again. We need to make sure that we're first to second balls. We have to make sure that we win headers and tackles and fight, because that's what teams are doing against us. And if we do that side of the game well, our footballing ability and our quality will shine through, but that has to be the fundamental of our game at the moment.
Did Lincoln feel like, and I guess maybe to a degree Plymouth as well, because I remember what you said after that game, the first times where you can see what it means to the other teams to beat Derby in terms of, we are a big scout. We knew about it, we talked about it in pre-season, that we were going to have to expect the sort of reaction that we saw, whether it's from the crowd, from the players. That Derby, it means a lot for teams to get something off Derby.
And I'm not saying it doesn't mean a lot to us, because it certainly does. The fact that we've lost 2 games, we've lost 3 games out of 11. So it's not bad, and we have to remember that, and it's easy when you go on a difficult run and you lose 2 games in a league where you're expected to win every week, to lose focus on actually what's important. What's important is we're building, we're working, we're getting better in terms of our understanding of what we want to do. We need to translate that into results, and we need energy on the pitch, and we need people who want to fight and run for each other and tackle for each other. And I'm not saying we haven't had that, but teams are basing winning games against us on that. And I know, I speak to opposition managers, every manager that we've played against this season has adjusted their shape for us. They play the same way week in, week out, and they come up against us because we play in a different way, and they focus there tactically and change the way they play, which is a huge compliment to us. But what we have to do is forget the compliment, we still have to go and win the game. And that's the next step for us, and that's one I'm certainly sure that we'll do in the future.
It's important to remember that football, I guess life as well, is just roller coaster. You have your up down moments, you have your down moments.
I said it before, Loxie. My job is, if we win, I spoke about performance levels. And when we lose, I speak about performance levels. So as happy as you are, and trust me, I was low. I was low yesterday in terms of losing that game, but I've got to stay here in between, because if I don't, and if I'm not logical in my thinking or rational in my thoughts, that's when there's a problem. And I want fans to care and be passionate. I want the players to care and be passionate. But my job is to kind of stay in that in-between position and make sure that I'm analysing the game in the right way. I'm seeing the things that I need to see. And I have to be honest, if you take this sample size of matches, I'm really delighted with how far we've come, and it gives me confidence, a lot of confidence in the future we're going to be successful.
You mentioned that obviously you were down about the result, the players were as well. We spoke about that after the game. You know that the fans were frustrated too, which I guess you would expect. Is it important not to lose the key characteristic from the last 18 months the togetherness, the unity, because that is such a big strength for you. And we know that at Pride Park, the Peterborough game's a perfect example of that. You mentioned the fans pulled you through. It's just key not to lose that at the moment. And you mentioned there about just staying.
No, I think that's a great question, Loxie. I think you're 100% right. I've got no doubt that togetherness is going to be there. And togetherness is the true strength of your character. And we saw that last year is when you're in adversity. And now this little period in the season, I knew that this was going to come at some point in the season. Every team in this league and every team in every league is going to go through a period where they don't get the results or performances they want. That's when you're truly tested. It's a test for me, it's a test for us, our togetherness, but I know we'll come through. And I'm really, really excited to go and put it right on Saturday.
You're pleased you're at home then, at the weekend?
Pleased we're at home, but it doesn't really matter. I just want to see a response. It doesn't matter if we're at home or away. I want us to play, I want us to be brave, I want us to fight, and I want us to dominate. And if we do those things, we have a really, really good chance of winning the game. So
Wycombe this weekend, in terms of their style, I think people describe them as quite strong, quite direct, but I imagine you know that anyway. What are you expecting from them?
Gareth's done a fantastic job there now. He's built a real identity in the football club and the way they play, and we have to stand up to that. We have to stand up to what they've done. He's had success. They're really unfortunate in the playoff final against Sunderland. It's a tough game, but they'll be doing their homework on us, and we've done our homework on them. And I think we need to make sure we stand up to the physical threat that they pose, as well as not just kicking the ball back to them, getting the ball down and being brave enough to play our way. And if we do that, we have a really, really good chance of getting a positive result.
In terms of the squad, how's everyone looking?
Everyone's looking good. James Chester trained again really well today. Jake Rooney's still out. Corey Smith is out, but they're not far away either. So we've got a couple in the squad, a couple of injuries. But no, the players are in good spirits. I'm delighted with their response, coming in a lot of energy in training today. But it doesn't matter about today, it matters on Saturday, and they certainly know that.